Hello, and welcome to James Less's Express Lane Reviews, where we get you in out as fast as possible, going over the top 5 Twilight Zone episodes. Some have been disqualified, like Time Enough at Last, The Talking Doll. There's so many episodes that are just parodied today that will live forever. Like, to serve man, I mean, everyone, you may never have even heard of the Twilight Zone, but you've probably seen that episode parodied and copied and done countless times. You may not know, like, oh wow, that's really cool and original, even though obviously it's not. But you've seen it. Same thing with A Time Enough at Last. Like, it's been parodied and done so much that even if you've never heard of Twilight Zone, you've seen that episode just being parodied or copied so many times that it's just impossible to think of a world where that you don't know that episode. Even if you've never heard of Twilight Zone, you've seen references to it somewhere. And so going through the list of the Twilight Zone episodes, like, well, that was disqualified, that was that. See, this is why I consider this one of the greatest TV shows of all time, because half the episodes, well, everyone knows that episode. You got to disqualify because it's just that well known. So I just try to find the gems that weren't parodied and copied and redone 1,000 times. Like Walking Distance. This episode, like, just, no, what would you do? What could you do if you could do this? Like especially like once he realized what is going on, and the people realize, his parents realize what's going on, it's like, man, that's gotta be some freaky stuff right there. But, moving on to one of the creepier ones, An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge. This was actually not done by Rod Serling. Someone did this, won awards for it, and then Rod Serling paid him like $25,000, I think it was. Mind, this is like back in 1960 money, so ton of money to use this episode in the Twilight Zone. Man, to be hanging at the bridge, rope snaps, lands in the water. The troops fire at him as he swims away. He escapes. Mind you, it is like there's no words. It's silent except for like the background noise, like the birds chirping or the gunshots going off. Like, it's silent, which just makes the episode even creepier. Like, just amazing. And of course, being Twilight Zone, it has to have a Twilight Zone ending. But moving on to number 3, will the real Martian please stand up? This one is Agatha Christie-like in its style and the performance by the characters, and just making you wonder, who's the Martian? Is there even really a Martian, or is this just people just getting paranoid? And then again, Twilight Zone has a Twilight Zone ending, but this is, if you've not seen it, I highly recommend check this one out. You have to see this. Followed by number 2, 100 Yards Over the Rim. 1850, 1860 something, wagon trail going west. His son's sick. I must find help. Gets on his horse, takes off into the distance, goes over the rim, and ends up in modern times. That's all we'll reveal about this episode. If you want to know more about it, look it up. It might be on YouTube or something like that. And of course, they have DVD, Blu-ray disc, copy sets, and all that. And one of my favorites with the box set was you got an interview with Rod Serling and Dan Rather in like 1959 before the series started. And they're both just, oh, you know, Dan, when I was thinking about doing a series, it's like, you don't see that today. You don't see just two people just sitting on camera, chain smoking like that. Just going through like half a pack of cigarettes each in one interview. And learning interesting things like when Lassie did an episode where Lassie gave birth, the show got death threats because it was considered smut back then. Anyways, I'm getting distracted. On to number 1. This one is actually probably my favorite episode, Changing of the Guard. Professor realizes that the letter he got is not his contract renewal like he expected. Gets it every year. No, it is in fact determination that this will be his last year. Sits down behind his desk. This is all I've ever known. What has my life come to? What will I do with my life now? This is all I've ever known. Is teaching these young gentlemen about history, about the past, about great men and women through time. When something happens. Obviously, you can't give it away. Want you to go and watch it, check it out, love it as much as I do. This is like all Twilight Zone episodes, well, except for season 4 when they had to stretch it out to an hour long. They had, a lot of misses in that season. They still have some good episodes, just more bad than good. But, you know what? One season being a dud out of 5 seasons, each season being 20 plus episodes, very good. There are so many I could have touched upon, but I wanted to focus on these 5 and ignored, like, Eye of the Beholder with the pig mask, and there's so many classics, and this is why it's such a great show and will last a lot longer than the creators ever thought it could. And as always, like, subscribe, comment down below, and have a wonderful day.